What is life truly about? When we were children, a single piece of candy could light up our day. We found joy in the simplest things, the rustle of leaves, the sound of rain, or the warmth of a hug. But as we grow older, something changes. Even though the sweetness of candy remains, we begin to taste the complexities of life, its bitterness, sourness, and the occasional harsh sting. As kids, we could cry one moment and laugh the next. But in adulthood, we often find ourselves laughing on the outside while crying on the inside. The pressures of work, the endless pursuit of material things, the stress of buying a house, a car, and building a family, all of it can feel overwhelming. Sometimes it gets so heavy that we can barely breathe. In these moments, a question often emerges. If everyone eventually meets the same end, then why do we struggle so much? What is the point of it all? I understand that life is busy, and these reflections might not be easy to absorb on a single listen. My advice? Watch this video until the end, replay it when you have time, maybe while cooking or during a quiet moment at home. Share it with those who matter to you, and keep it saved as a reminder. Within just a few short months, I promise your mindset will begin to transform, and you'll find yourself seeing life from a higher, clearer perspective. This is Ancient Wisdom, welcoming you warmly. Today, let's explore the deeper meaning of why we exist and discover insights that could change the way you live your life. Especially the story at the end, a story that has touched the hearts of thousands. The tale of the pig. Once upon a time, there was a pig who lived a comfortable life. Every day, it had food, water, and a warm place to rest. It had everything it needed and spent its days happily with its parents. However, one day, the pig realized a shocking truth. It was being raised only to be slaughtered. This realization hit hard, and while the other pigs remained oblivious, content to eat and sleep, this pig couldn't find peace anymore. The pig felt a deep sense of despair. It approached its mother and asked, "If we're destined to be eaten, why should we even bother to grow up?" The mother pig, with a calm and knowing smile, said, "Yes, that may be our fate, but the joy we experience right now is still real. Instead of worrying about a future that hasn't arrived yet, why not savor the present moment? Why not find happiness in what we have today?" The young pig thought about it and found wisdom in her words. It decided to stop dwelling on the future and began to enjoy its present again. But one day, while roaming the pen, it noticed a small hole in the fence. Though it was too small for the pig to squeeze through, it gave the pig a new purpose: to escape. From that moment, the pig decided to lose weight, to slim down enough to fit through that tiny gap. It stopped eating and started exercising, pushing itself every day. It was a difficult process, and there were times when the hunger felt unbearable, but the thought of freedom kept it going. Eventually, the pig managed to slim down and slip through the hole, escaping to the mountains. It had done it. It had achieved what it thought was impossible. It was no longer just a pig in a pen. It was a wild boar, free at last, or so it thought. When the pig reached the mountains, it quickly realized it was not the first to escape. There were many pigs just like it, domesticated pigs that had fled their pens, now trying to survive in the wild. But life was tough. Unlike the native wild boars, they didn't have tusks, they weren't strong or fast, and they could barely fend for themselves. They struggled to survive at the bottom of the pack, and it was a harsh life. Once again, the pig found itself grappling with disappointment. Should it simply endure this struggle, or should it fight back? The pig chose to resist. Every day it would train by ramming into trees, sharpening its tusks, and building its strength. It was painful, but the pig believed in its goal. One day, it challenged the leader of the wild boars. The fight was fierce, but the pig managed to inflict a serious wound, and for a moment it seemed like victory was within reach. But just before the alpha boar died, it whispered, "Now I am finally free, but it is your turn to bear the burden." The words echoed in the pig's mind. What could it mean? Soon enough, the pig understood. It had become the new leader. But when it looked down from the peak of the mountain, it saw a sign that read, "Wild Boar Training Farm." It was then that the pig realized that it was still a part of a bigger plan. A mere experiment designed by humans to turn domestic pigs into wild boars, to sell them at a higher price. By that time, the pig was old and tired. Staggering down the mountain, it whispered to the other pigs, "Live happily each day." Do not chase the illusion of freedom that will only lead you back to where you started. The harsh truth of growing up. Growing up is not just about age, it's about seeing the world for what it really is. It's a journey of understanding, a process akin to becoming a wild boar. Through this journey, we often encounter a harsh reality. Much of what we thought was meaningful may actually be empty. No matter how hard you work, whether you end up wealthy or live a modest life, you are still just a piece in a larger game played by others. There is very little difference between one role and another. Consider a funeral. For many, it is not a time to mourn, but merely an occasion to gather. Someone once shared a story about his 52-year-old neighbor who was a department head and suddenly died of a stroke. The man's wife and children were heartbroken, but when family and friends arrived at the funeral, they greeted each other with smiles, shared cigarettes, and caught up on the latest gossip. After a few polite exchanges, they sat down to eat, drink, and play cards. The women laughed as they prepared food, while the men smoked, drank, and told jokes. What was supposed to be a solemn occasion looked more like a festive gathering. That was when the realization hit me. Your life and death, your achievements, your struggles, don't matter much to others. Apart from your closest family, no one genuinely cares whether you are alive or dead. Your passing merely becomes a rare reason for people to reunite, to chat, and to catch up. They will talk about various things, some might get drunk, some might even get into arguments, but your death will hardly be a topic of conversation. Eventually, I came to understand that we are not as important as we think we are. If your existence doesn't directly affect others, they won't feel the impact of your absence. When we are young, we imagine ourselves as the stars of the show, with everyone around us as the audience. We believe we are the center of the universe, but the reality is, each person is the star of their own show. They care most about themselves. We worry about what others think, whether our parents are proud of us, if our friends respect us, and whether our lovers truly love us. But here's the truth. Others don't think about us nearly as much as we imagine. They are busy worrying about themselves, but just as we are busy worrying about ourselves, breaking free from the chains of enduring pain. There was once a student who wrote an essay titled, "Only by enduring life's hardships can one be superior to others." When his professor in New Zealand read it, he failed the essay. The professor understood a basic truth. If enduring more hardship made someone superior, then the wealthiest and most successful being on earth would be a mule. The previous generation laid down a myth for the youth, that you must endure suffering to have a future. But the reality of society is far different. Once you begin to grit your teeth and endure, hardships will never cease. Money flows to those who already have it. Love finds those who are already surrounded by it. Pain and struggles, they are reserved for those who are willing to take them on. It's important to differentiate between enduring for the sake of self-discipline or personal growth, and enduring meaningless suffering that leads nowhere. Today's youth are no longer willing to accept blind suffering. I recently saw someone online say, "If you feel tired, go to the market at 4 a.m. or visit the emergency room, and you'll see what real exhaustion is." Someone else quickly replied, "If you're tired, shouldn't you rest? Why compare who is more exhausted?" Think about it. In a world of 8 billion people, does only the most tired person have the right to say they are tired? Enduring hardships doesn't automatically make life meaningful. It only makes it harder. The key is to endure when it truly matters, when there is something worth fighting for. Yes, building resilience is necessary when hardships cannot be avoided, but glorifying suffering will lead to a spiral of self-destruction. Success is influenced by many factors: talent, opportunity, timing, and connections. Blindly forcing yourself to endure meaningless pain will not necessarily lead to success. It's better to face life with positivity and optimism, knowing when to push forward and when to let go. Tradition often glorifies hardship before joy, earning before indulging. But if life is as fleeting as it seems, does it make sense to spend most of it suffering? Meaning isn't given. Its created author Higashino Kei once wrote, "Pushing yourself too hard will only wear you out. Humans aren't born to endure suffering endlessly. So why carry the world's weight on your shoulders? When life becomes overwhelming, it's okay to take a break. When you're exhausted, give yourself permission to rest. When your heart feels heavy, Allow yourself to cry. There is no shame in embracing your humanity. In many places around the world, lifestyles reflect this understanding. People work for half a year and then spend the other half traveling, resting, or spending time with loved ones. They don't need big houses or flashy cars. They just need enough. They don't see life as a race to accumulate, but as a journey to be experienced. For decades, we have been taught that life must have meaning, and meaning can only be found in constant striving, climbing the corporate ladder, building a family, buying a home, achieving more. But what if meaning is not found in the hustle? What if meaning is found in stillness, in the beauty of a sunset, in the laughter of a child, in the embrace of a loved one? The little fish seeking the ocean, a metaphor for life's search. One day, a little fish swam through the magical waters of a mystical forest and came across an old fish. "I'm looking for something they call the ocean," said the young fish. Surprised, the old fish replied, "But you're already in the ocean." The young fish was confused. "No, this is just water. I want to find the real ocean." This story is a metaphor for our lives. We spend our days searching for something more, something meaningful, like a fish seeking the ocean while swimming in it. We chase purpose, significance, and recognition, but perhaps the meaning we seek has been with us all along. Many people grow increasingly anxious because everything they do must seem purposeful. Especially sensitive individuals, they might feel guilty for indulging in simple pleasures. Perhaps it's because, from childhood, we've been conditioned to believe that relaxing, having fun, or taking breaks are wasteful, and that only by enduring hardships can life truly have value. This way of thinking can be exhausting. It leaves us perpetually dissatisfied, always striving but never arriving. In times of difficulty, whether it's losing a job, a relationship, or facing adversity, it's easy to fall into despair. But there's a simple truth that we often overlook. Not everything needs to have a profound purpose. Eating, drinking, and playing don't mean wasting time, just as enduring hardships doesn't automatically mean living a meaningful life. When you're feeling anxious, when your spirit feels depleted, remember, life is made up of countless experiences. If you want to take a walk in the park, do it. If you want to lie on the grass and gaze at the stars, allow yourself that moment. If you wish to watch the sun rise or set, then simply do it. Sometimes, what seems meaningless is where true peace resides. Your experiences, no matter how simple, hold the greatest meaning of all. Embrace every moment. Life doesn't have to follow a script laid out by others. It's not about meeting societal expectations, like getting married by 30 or having a prestigious career by 40. Meaning isn't something given, it's something you create for yourself. Life is not a predetermined track, but an open field. If you are enjoying the present moment, then you are living meaningfully. Many people believe that what separates humans from animals is the sense of purpose. We think our lives have meaning while theirs do not. But that isn't necessarily true. Both humans and animals evolved from the same origins, and the world didn't suddenly gain meaning just because we developed complex minds. Animals don't ponder whether their lives are meaningful, and they don't care. Humans, on the other hand, struggle with the concept of a purposeless existence, and so we search for it. In our quest for meaning, we have created religion, philosophy, and art. Through these creations, we build our spiritual lives, and that makes us feel that life has meaning. The 5 Regrets of the Dying. Bronnie Ware, an Australian nurse, worked in palliative care for many years and wrote a book titled The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying, based on what she heard from patients at the end of their lives. Here are their most common regrets. 1. I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. When people realize their lives are near the end, they reflect on their unfulfilled dreams, seeing how much was left undone. Many people realize that their own choices had led them away from what they truly wanted. 2. I wish I hadn't worked so hard. This was a regret echoed mostly by men. They missed the joy of watching their children grow up and spending precious time with their partners. If you simplify your life, you'll find that you don't need as much money as you think. This could free you to enjoy the time you have. 3. I wish I had expressed my feelings more. People often hide their emotions to keep the peace, but in doing so, they lose touch with themselves. 4. I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. Many let friendships fade because of life's demands, but at the end, they long for the companionship they once had. 5. I wish I had allowed myself to be happier. Surprisingly, this is a common regret. When people face their final days, the opinions of others no longer matter. They wish they had been kinder to themselves, allowed themselves to smile more, and lived more freely. The Poor Man's Choice, a parable about priorities. One day, a poor man's wife saw 3 old men standing outside their house. She invited them inside, but they said, "Ask your husband if he will allow us in." The husband, without hesitation, said, "Invite them in. It's good to be kind to strangers." The old men smiled and said, "We are prosperity, success, and health. Because of your kindness, you can invite one of us inside. Choose wisely." The wife was eager for prosperity, while the husband was leaning towards success. Their daughter, who had been listening quietly, said, "Health is the best choice. If we are healthy, we can face anything together." So they invited health inside. To their surprise, prosperity and success followed. The wife was puzzled. "Didn't you say only one of you could enter?" Health replied, "Yes, but there is an exception. If you choose health, the others will always follow, because without health, prosperity and success are meaningless." The Wise Man and the Young Man. A young man, frustrated and bitter, constantly complained about his lack of money and how unfair life was. People avoided him because his negative energy was overwhelming. One day, he met an old man who listened to his complaints and then asked, "What do you want most in life?" The young man said, "I am poor. I want to be rich." The old man thought for a moment and then said, "Would you be willing to sell me your hands and legs? I will give you 5,000 gold pieces." The young man refused, shocked. "How about 10,000? asked the old man. The young man still declined. The old man then said, "You see, you are not poor. You possess something more valuable than gold, your health." This interaction made the young man realize that the wealth he sought was already within him. The reality of life, what we truly own. When a person dies, they might imagine taking everything they owned with them, but this is far from reality. Imagine a man who, upon dying, saw the Buddha approaching with a small box. The Buddha said, "It's time to go." The man, startled, said, "So soon? I have so much left to do." But the Buddha replied, "Your time is up." Curious, the man asked, "What's in that box?" Buddha said, "Everything that belonged to you." The man, still puzzled, asked, "Do you mean my clothes, my money, my house?" Buddha shook his head. "No, those were never yours. They belonged to the world." The man thought again, "Is it my memories?" "No," said Buddha, "they belong to time." "Then it must be my skills." "No, those belong to circumstances." "My friends and family?" "No, they belong to the journey of life." "Then surely it must be my body." "No, your body belongs to the earth, to the dust." Finally, the man said, "Then it must be my soul." Buddha smiled gently. "Even your soul is not yours. It belongs to me." With tears in his eyes, the man took the box from Buddha and opened it. Inside there was nothing. "Did I truly own nothing?" he asked. Buddha replied, "No, you own nothing. But every moment you lived was yours. That was all you ever had." Living fully life is a dance of gaining and losing, of choices and letting go. We enter this world with a cry, and we leave it to the cries of others. The time between those two cries is what we call life. Understanding that life may not have a grand, preordained meaning is not meant to dishearten us, but to remind us of a simple truth: to live fully in every moment. The greatest meaning in life is perhaps to savor every act of love, every embrace, every meal with loved ones, every shared laugh. Cherish your friends, live for today, and that might be the most profound purpose of our existence. Don't let trivial matters disturb your peace, and don't let yourself become a burden to others. Embrace a philosophy of kindness, simplicity, and presence each day. Maybe that is the true purpose of our lives. Stop living by someone else's checklist. Live a life that's your own. Death isn't what's truly scary. What's terrifying is reaching the end of your life and realizing you never truly lived. Take each day as a gift, a chance to discover, to feel, to love, and to be. For in these small, tender moments, we find the true essence of life.